All right, hello. You're watching Voyage on Click Niger Internet Radio, your travel and destination show where we get to interact and have discussions about holiday trips, tourist attractions, safety tips, and everything that concerns the hospitality industry. My name is Jennifer Ogo. Now, last checking with an unexpected hit of a pandemic that affected diverse sectors globally, but mostly the tourism sector, with flights grounded, hotels closed, workers have either lost their jobs or are on layoffs. Travel restrictions were put in place in virtually all countries around the world. Coronavirus seriously disrupted the industry, which has caused major losses. Now, after a long while, I'm sure that's what might be in your mind. We decided to start today's edition of Voyage by analyzing some of the impacts the pandemic had on the tourism sector in Nigeria. I mean, why won't we even start from that? Because I'm sure that's why the program was even held in the first place. So, I will be giving you some details on the impact of the pandemic on the tourism sector in Nigeria, how the pandemic affected the tourism sector in Nigeria. Now we are putting on a question to you during the lockdown. Did you or anyone else get stuck in a different state due to travel restrictions? Tell us the experience. Like, I know I interacted with a couple of people who had that experience. I was, in my original state of residence right here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I didn't have that experience, but I know a lot of people that did. They got stuck either abroad or, within this African continent. Let us know. Are you one of those people that got stuck during the lockdown? Or do you know someone that got stuck in a different state due to the travel restrictions during the lockdown? All right, let's kind of like talk about tourism in Nigeria before the pandemic. Now, tourism, according to United Nations World Tourism Organization, that's UNWTO. All right, sorry for that. They define tourism as a set of activities where people traveling and staying in a place outside their usual environment for not more than one consecutive year for leisure and other purposes. Now, in Nigeria, tourism is centered around activities happening in the country, such as festivals, carnivals, resort location, music tour, and so on, especially music tour. Also, attractions such as parks, cultural sites, and natural sites also contribute to tourism in our country, Nigeria. Some of the tourist attractions include parks such as Millennium Park in Abuja, Agogi Garden in Oyo State, cultural sites such as Oshun Oshogbo Grove, the Kano City Walls, Indari Hills, waterfalls such as Agbokin Waterfall, Igosi Warm Spring. I've been there, such a beautiful place, and all of the tourist attractions. Now, these tourist attractions contribute to the influx of visitors and tourists into their respective states, and they lead to an increased revenue generation. According to the World Bank, that was in 2017, tourism in Nigeria generated approximately 6% of the annual internal generated revenue in Nigeria. Tourism in Nigeria is one of the major drivers now of intercultural relations. All right, so you have people from different tribes coming together to appreciate their culture, to appreciate their tribe, to appreciate the essence of their cultural, well-being, wellness, or whatever, and that fosters unity. And we didn't experience that throughout 2020. Over the years, tourism has influenced the influx of people visiting a country. Now, according to National Bureau of Statistics, it shows that tourism accounted for 34% of the gross domestic product and about 20% of the nation's employment creation in 2017. And this shows the impact tourism had in the country 2 years before the occurrence of the pandemic. Now, let's tabulate how this affected major stakeholders in our tourism sector right here in Nigeria. Like, the outbreak and the spread of COVID-19 virus led to rapid shutdown in cities, states across the country, which greatly affected the tourism industry. Industries in tourism sectors such as the airlines, hotels, entertainment, hospitality industry faced decline in demand and patronage with travel crashes and cancellations. The pandemic had a huge impact on both travel and tourism in the country. Now, travel into Nigeria reduced by 3.5 million, which resulted into a revenue loss of $0.7 billion dollars, with a risk of 91,800 and 380 job lost, and also $0.6 billion dollars contributing to Nigeria's GDP. Now, let's talk about the impacts it had now on hospitality. And hospitality also has a direct influence, in tourism right here in our country, with increased cancellation of hotel reservations by both local and international tourists. Jobs were lost, resulting on a negative impact on the revenue. The hospitality industry was the worst hit. All right, let's take our first comment on the program. Let's see. This one is from Juwon Olutola. Thank you so much for being our first commenter. And he's saying these are insightful information. Well, thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate your comment on the program. So right now we are asking you, during the pandemic, during the lockdown, did you or someone you know get stuck in a different state due to travel restrictions? Tell us your experience. Someone called me from Uganda and the person was almost crying every day. Like, it was so frustrating. He couldn't come back to his country. He couldn't eat the normal Nigerian food. He had to just be managing himself. Then the money you even budgeted to even take care of yourself at that particular point in time got exhausted. It was just a lot for people who got stuck in another states. Even right here, within us right here in Nigeria, even in Abuja, and you probably traveled to a place like Port Harcourt. You couldn't leave Port Harcourt to come back home. It really took a lot from some people, especially families, friends. They couldn't even, people said, appreciating the essence of life, knowing that when you have an opportunity to even talk to someone like physically, it's a blessing, it's a gift. All right, I don't want to go into that. Just let us know your experience. Probably you got stuck in a different state during the lockdown. Let us know the experience. Or it could be if your father, your mom, your brother, your sister, your spouse, anybody that got stuck. Tell us how you interacted with that person. Let us know how that person felt at that moment. All right, now we've talked about the impact the pandemic had on the hospitality industry. Now let's go straight to the entertainment industry, which was very, very peculiar to most people. Nigerians now, we like to bed, we like to groove and everything, and you couldn't even go on you know concerts and get to see most of the top musicians. It was just a lot. Some of them had to even resort to apps that they could either perform or just entertain you vis-a-vis. And it really had a major impact in the entertainment industry because the pandemic greatly affected the Nigerian entertainment industry by distorting the Nigerian film industry last year revenue projection, beginning with an unprecedented disruption of the global films calendar. Every year the movie industry have like a list of movies now they would want to produce. You have movies that came in 2017, movies of 2018, movies of 2019, and 2020. We kept on watching old movies because of the pandemic. I wasn't happy about that, and I'm really sure it affected the entertainment industry. Now let's move ahead. In 2020, revenue for the Nigerian film industry was projected at 1 billion US dollars. Nigerian box office, which is an important part of the Nigerian film industry, was expected to improve its 2019 stellar performance and rise by about 10% from its 2019 performance to take its revenue to the region of 35 million US dollars. That was in 2020. All right, and there was a huge decline in revenue generation in the Nigerian movie industry. You can see that things kind of like took turns. So you have apps now getting more money because people were really looking at their phones, and some of these artists and celebrities were just wondering how they would feed. Some of them started coming up with comedy skits. People just started being creative. But the bottom line is we couldn't do things physically because of social distancing, travel restrictions. You couldn't move from one point to another. So that was something that really affected the entertainment industry. Now, the impact on airline operation. The airport is a very important sector in of the Nigerian economy. There are more than 400 aircrafts registered in Nigeria, and 60% of these are used for commercial operations. The federal government of Nigeria on the 26th of March 2020 declared closure of airports and its borders to all forms of movement and transportation. The airline suspended their operations in a bid to protect the lives of its staff and reduce further spread of the disease. I think that was one step they took. So it is believed that travel restrictions cost the tourism industry alone a loss of over $200 billion globally, excluding other loss of revenue for tourism travel, and were forecast to cost the aviation industry a total loss of 113 billion dollars according to the International Air Transport Association. Yes, so there were flight cancellations and hotel reservations were cancelled as well. Bookings were cancelled. They had to even refund the money to their clients and customers. So this cost a lot for the airline operators. Now, Juwon Olatola is still with us. Thank you so much for watching. My colleague was talk at Dar Salaam. It was nearly traumatic for him. I can imagine because a lot of people went through mental breakdown. Do you know what it means for you not to see your family for a prolonged period of time? Like it was almost like the lockdown wasn't going to end because after a 2 weeks lockdown, another 2 weeks came. They extended it to a month. It was quite disastrous, and I don't think anybody want to see that. So for future purposes, in case we might be predicting another lockdown, just get yourself prepped. But right now on this first, but I call it the first edition because we've not produced and presented this program in a while. We are just looking at the impact the pandemic had or is still having, on tourism right here in Nigeria. Now let's look at the travel agencies, and they are key players in the tourism sector. They recorded a decline in ticket sales and reservations for international and continental flights during this period. During the period of the lockdown, travel agencies experienced 50% drop in ticket sales and reservation for international routes. Very sad. Now, hotels now, they also experience this impact because many hotel reservations were cancelled, resort and hotel bookings were blocked. People, tourists had to go back to their country. A lot of things just went wrong, including restaurants. They had to shut down. Some had to even resort to service delivery, like delivering whatever you want to your doorstep. Food jobs were lost, and all this resulted in a huge decline in the tourism industry right here in Nigeria. So it was a difficult time for the tourism industry. In fact, I feel they were the most affected. That is why I'm beginning this show by talking about how the pandemic affected the tourism industry. Peradventure, the tourism industry would have really added to the GDP growth right here in Nigeria, but the pandemic just took us like 10 steps backwards. And we just hope that this 2021, this new year, things will get better for the tourism industry. And there'll be like a backup plan, especially for major stakeholders in this industry, so that we won't experience what we did the previous year. Thank you so much for watching. If you're here to make your comment, kindly do. Let's make it fun. Let us know what your experience was like. If you got stuck in a different state, probably foreign country, or even right here in Africa, you weren't just in your home country. Let us tell us the experience. Peradventure, you also know someone who experienced that. Let us know how that person felt, how you were always communicating with the person and making the person feel like the person is with you physically, even though the person wasn't virtually. Let us know how that felt. Stay tuned for another edition of Voyage. Remember, we are on all social media handles. On Instagram, we're at Click Niger. Right on Facebook at Click Niger. On Twitter, at Click Niger One. Yes, and our YouTube channel is also at Click Niger with the website www.clickniger.net. Until next time, have a fabulous time out. I hope you definitely make your comment, because I'm going to share my own experience um, of the lockdown and how I really supported someone who was held back due to travel restrictions. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous time. Bye bye.